Hey everyone, it is Monday, October 26th. Welcome to A Loop Through a Loop. I'm Tara. Before we get into any of the making, I did want to take just a few moments at the beginning to talk about a couple of things very quickly. The first being Fruitty Knitting. If you are somebody who has enjoyed knitting and have found their podcast, they just released a video a couple weeks ago giving an announcement to everybody and some very important requests for help. I know that in, I believe, July is when I finally decided to sit down and just go through their catalog of episodes on YouTube, and about 3/4 of the way through, I just had this feeling in my gut that this was the kind of programming and the kind of people that I really felt like I would be okay supporting financially, and became a Patreon then soon after. And I kindly request that you go check out their video with the announcement, and whatever it is that they're requesting, I feel like is the least that we could do after everything that they have created and given to us. So I don't want to go too much further into that. So we'll move on to the second thing, which is Christy Glass Knits Rhineback Sweater video of 2020, 3 hours long. I got to watch the live premiere. That was my treat myself. Is that I told myself, when the video premieres, I know it's 3 hours long, and if the kids need something, they can go see their dad. Or they can sit and snuggle with me while I watch it. But for those 3 hours, I get to do something that's just for me. I want to watch 3 hours of people sharing all of their making, because that is something that would really bring me joy. So I was so excited to watch all of it, and I've gone back and tried to rewatch it in smaller time increments to catch anything that I may have missed. And I just think how lucky we are in this community to have a person like Christy go through all of that work and coordinate and organize and do everything that she does do, that a hobby for her has turned into this passion. And look at the amazing things that she's created for us. I bow down. I am complete and utterly humbled in gratitude for everything that she has done. So those were the two things that I wanted to mention quickly, so then we can move on into all of the knitting. But I would be remiss not to start with those things. So I have kind of like a hodgepodge of everything. Like, again, I have like a shortened version of notes. I started to write out notes, and then I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna kind of wing it because I'm at the mercy of my children, and so we're just gonna wing it, see how it goes. I brought my coffee upstairs just in case I need it. So we'll start with what I'm wearing. I decided that since Christy posted the Rhinebeck sweater video, since Rhinebeck was supposed to be in October, I would go ahead and wear the sweater that I shared in the video. And I did not make this purposely for that video. I knit this back around Easter time, so in the spring. In fact, when I finished it, and I happened to finish it, I think just after Easter had ended, I looked at it and I thought, it kind of looks like an Easter egg because of the chevron zigzag here, and plus the colors that I picked. I'm okay with it because it just makes me so happy. So if you have not watched Christy's video, I'll go ahead and talk through some of the details, and I might add little bits here and there that I didn't in my video that I sent to her. So this is the Stonecrop pullover by Andrea Mowry. Oh my God. Apparently I'm gonna need that coffee. And this is knit in, so the green color, this is Three Irish Girls. I don't know if that's focusing. Just go with me here. 3 Irish girls in War of the Roses, and all of the color work. This is all Sunset Highway by Spin Cycle. This was an indulgent sweater. This was not inexpensive. This was a one-time only kind of a purchase. And I think it was well worth it. I purchased both of these yarns at the local yarn store in downtown Lexington called Magpie Yarns. And I had actually spotted them on my first trip to the yarn store, but I didn't buy them because I think I was looking for yarn for Christmas gifts. But I knew these colors were there and I knew they existed, and I was drawn to them for the reasons that I mentioned in Christy's video. This green reminds me, anytime I see like a minty or pistachio green, it makes me think of my great grandmother whose apartment was painted that color. And she died when I was 15, but she was probably like my ultimate favorite person at that, you know, growing up. I loved going in to her apartment, and you know, looking back now as an adult, if I walked in there, it wouldn't seem very big, but it felt like it was huge. And so I would go into her bathroom, and I knew where she kept her lipstick, and I would slide the mirror over and take out the lipstick and just look at it and take it out, like, and then put it back really quick because I didn't want her to know that I was looking at it. But I cannot describe or explain how important that woman has been in my life. And also, speaking of grandmothers, my color work here goes from pinks and then kind of an orange yellow, but it kind of gave me like lemonade vibes, like pink lemonade, regular lemonade. And that was my daughter's first birthday, my oldest daughter's first birthday party theme. And so that was in 2016. So my daughter's birthday is actually August 19th, but because I was teaching, in order to give her a proper first birthday like I wanted to give her, we decided to do it before school started. So her birthday party was on Saturday, August 4th. And both my maternal and paternal grandmothers came. This is a very, very, very big deal because both of their health had been not so good. They'd been in and out of the hospital. It was just kind of a rough time for them. So the birthday party was that Saturday, and then exactly the next Thursday, my grandmother died. Oh, okay, so my maternal grandmother died. And then 5 months later, in January, my paternal grandmother died. Let me get it together. It doesn't help that I have a bookshelf over here, and when I look up and over, I have both their pictures. That doesn't help. Sorry. We're not going to be sad. We're not going to be sad because they were amazing women. And this sweater, that's why this sweater is so important to me. And I also think that's what justifies the price that I paid for the yarn, because of the 3 women that all their love is wrapped up into this sweater, and it's kind of like I get to keep them. So enough of the crying. You know, I'm an emotional person, and I think that it is okay to cry. It's okay to be sad and then move on. So we're gonna move on. Okay, so that's the stone crop. I knit it to pattern. I didn't change anything. There are a couple of mistakes, but with fingering weight, the mistakes are so small that nobody can notice. I knit the length to about where it was in the pattern. And then when I knit the sleeves, I looked at Andrea's sweater. I looked at the picture and I counted the pattern repeats in her sleeves. And so that's what I did. When I finished it, my sleeves were like right here and it was perfect. And then I blocked it. And now my sleeves are like right here, which is not a complete travesty. I did throw this in the dryer to shrink it up a little bit, full disclosure. But it worked out. And I know that actually what I could do is I could take out here and then just do a longer cuff, but I just don't want to. I kind of just want to keep everything exactly how it is. I don't know, mistakes and all. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. And a sad story, but not so sad. Anyway, so that's why this sweater means so much to me, because the women in my life, I mean, I love the men in my life very, very much, but for whatever reason, God has just really implanted or imprinted these women so deep into my heart that I cannot explain it. And I don't try to explain it because I just let it exist as it is. Okay, so I don't have any earrings on or any whatever. I just threw on some necklaces just to feel like the world is normal right now. So anyway, moving on to FOs. I had, I think 6 FOs. Don't be too crazy impressed. I'm pretty sure 4 of them are baby hats. And I think I have one in here because they're gift knits. And I actually wanted, sorry for the crinkling, I store things in bags when they're gifts. So I wanted to show you something. So I had a free pattern that came with this yarn that my brother and sister-in-law bought in Estes Park, Colorado at the Stitch and Den, which we've been going there since 2010. Oh, even before that, 2006. Actually, I think it was 2006. We started going to Estes very regularly. I didn't even know they had a yarn shop. But anyway, so here's the first hat that I made. And you're gonna notice, like, this is what happens when you just decrease every round. This, I just followed to the pattern exactly. I didn't change anything. I just followed the pattern. Now, I'm sure a baby could kind of maybe wear this, except that it's not going to be very smooth or fit nicely. I did not rip this out or change it because, let me see, hold on. I want to make sure I put this in the right bag. Okay, because I wanted to keep it as a reminder of what it looks like if you're doing those decreases every single row. I need to be reminded of what that looks like. Now, am I going to give this little baby hat to some sweet little baby? Probably not, because it's not my best work, but it works as a really great sample for what I'm not looking for. So what I did the next time is I cast on the same number of stitches, and this time I followed the same decrease pattern, except that in between each row of decreases, I did just a knit row. And you can see it's way smoother. This would actually fit. The shape is really nice. It would actually fit a lot nicer. Now this is a baby hat that I would be very proud and happy to give. So I made these 2 hats. I had the same kind of yarn but it's in pinks, and so I made a hat for my daughter, and I was going to make another hat for my other daughter, but it just didn't turn out right. So size wise, it was just going to be too small, so we gave it to one of our little bitty friends, and I hope that she will really like it. This is cotton yarn, and I think it's by I don't know how to say it. And I'm sure they still make it, but I don't have everything like about the yarn memorized because this was purchased in 2017. And so, I don't know, they're baby hats. This is yarn that I've had for several years now, and I never got a chance to make anything with it until now. Now is my time for making. So those are the hats. The other things that I've made, let me check really quick because I don't want to forget anything. Yes, so it was 4 hats, and then I did make 2 sweaters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert clips that show me with the sweater on and talking about all the details. So I'll catch you on the flip side. This is the Grace pullover designed by Denise Byron of Byron Handmade. It is overcast right now outside, so I'm trying to turn on some lights to help us out. So I appreciate you sticking with me through this. It might be a little grainy. I don't know how clear things are going to be, but we're just going to march on with it. Okay. So I knit this out of I Love This Yarn Chunky in Cool Black. I purchased 6 skeins on sale. I used 4, and I would say maybe a half to 3/4, probably closer to half of the 5th skein, and then I have 1 skein left over. So that's perfect if I want to make a hat or a cowl and then send it off to donate. And I followed the pattern exactly except for the dolman sleeves. When it was time to separate sleeves, I just made sleeves how I normally always make sleeves because that's my preferred way to wear my sweaters. I like my sweaters to be somewhat close to my underarm so that when I move my arms, the bottom of my sweater stays pretty much where I want it. I don't want my sweater to be going up and then show my business to everybody that don't need to be seeing my business. So I made the sleeves at bracelet length because, well, one, I could stack my jewelry if I wanted to wear some arm candy, but also this is good if I want to wear this on a really hair in my eye. Oh my god. Okay, I got it. I wanted to also make sure that I could chase kids around the house, do laundry, wash dishes, give baths, do all the kind of practical, everyday, normal stuff that I do without having to fight with sleeves or worrying about constantly pushing them up. So that is why I made them bracelet length. I believe that I may have lengthened the body just because I'm tall. I need a little bit of extra length. So here is my belly button, and I'm about 2, that's gotta be more than 2. Yeah, I'm like 3 inches below my belly button. I use my mid-phalanx. I think that's how it's pronounced. I practiced on Google, but Google said I was saying it wrong still. But I use this part of my pinky right here. Can you see what I'm pointing at? This part right here on my hand, that part of my pinky is approximately 1 inch. And if I don't want to get out my measuring tape or it's in the other room and I don't want to bother with it, that's what I use. That's how I kind of measure where I'm at. I have styled this with just a t-shirt underneath because it's cool, but it's too hot to put a button down underneath, which a button down would be my #1 go-to, so I can pop the collar. I just really like that. And then I just have on a pair of favorite jeans. Now, if I was still teaching, I would wear the button down, but I would probably wear a sleeveless button down. I have one of those. I'd wear a sleeveless button down, pop the collar, and then a pair of trousers, either black trousers or printed trousers. Still have something in my eye, I apologize. But anyway, so that's how I would style it. Now, if I stand back far enough, I am going to show that if I hold, oh my god, I'm stacked. Well, this is not okay. Okay. I think we're okay. We've all survived. If I pull the side part of my torso of my sweater back, I don't know if you can see it, but I am a pear shape. So I am a slender person, but my body still has a shape. I am more petite in my torso, and then my body widens out in the hips. I have always been shaped that way. And after 3 kids, my hip bones did shift and move and go out a little bit more. So what I love about this sweater is the bulkiness. I kept the bulkiness. I kept it kind of close to my body. But this sweater, if I come up closer, I mean, this is not tight. This is not tight at all. It's not hugging anything. I don't want it to hug. There's room, but it creates a silhouette that I prefer and I feel comfortable in because it gives me a little bit more proportional. Where am I going with that? I think I just lost all my words. It just puts the top of my body in proportion with my lower body. So I want to try to make things kind of balanced. And so this is perfect. So my hip bones, if you're wanting to just kind of have some reference points, like I said, my belly button is here about 3 inches above the hem. And my hip bone, the sweater actually hits right at the top of my hip bone. It does not cover my hip bone. It literally sits on top of the hip bone. So that's everything. I told you the yarn. I told you any modifications that I made. I told you how I would style it. I told you why I think it works for my body and why it makes me feel comfortable wearing it. It was very affordable. Last thing I want to mention is about wash and care. So for me, after making a garment, the most stressful part is the washing after. Now, this can happen for different reasons. My stress can come if I'm using a superwash wool and alpaca. They stretch, and that always makes me super nervous. I've had it happen a couple of times, but the biggest example I have is on my Stonecrop pullover, which is like my favorite sweater that I've ever made, just more for sentimental reason. But when I tried it on, it was after I had literally just cast off. I tried it on and it was perfect, like chef's kiss. Then I blocked it, and the sleeves literally were eating my hands. The body relaxed and still fit really nice, but the sleeves, it just stretched out forever. And I was mortified and heartbroken. So that is something that always makes me nervous about if it stretches out or anything like that. And another one of my stressors is my washing machine has a hand wash and wool wash setting. So there's a specific setting for those kinds of fibers, really delicate materials. Well, I put my wool and honey in there, which is made from Rowan's Alpaca Classic DK. And that's probably my number 2 favorite sweater. I don't think it's a coincidence that they're both made by Andrew Mowry. But anyway, I had put that in the wash on the wool setting, and then it shrunk, and I was mortified there. That was my own stupid mistake. I shouldn't have done that. But this sweater is acrylic, so I can totally wash and dry it. And what I did is I know what my mistake was with my wool and honey. I put it in the machine, but I didn't change the water temperature to cold. So, and needless to say, I just hand wash that sweater now. But for this one, I put it in there all by itself into the machine on that really delicate, gentle cycle on cold water. And then I just laid this flat to dry. I didn't put this in the dryer, although it's totally okay that you can. It came out just fine. It looks fine. Now, I will say this, you get what you pay for. So this is a cheaper yarn. So I wonder if you can just kind of see. It looks like, here, ooh, look at that. Like, it looks like it needs a gleaner. But a part of me, okay, so a part of me kind of likes it because then it looks like the favorite sweater I've had for years. But then the other part of me is like, maybe I need to go ahead and buy a gleaner so I can kind of clean it up. I think this sweater cost me on whole between $20, $24. How awesome is that? And it took me 3 days to do it because I was feeling really, really frustrated. And when I feel frustrated, I start doing things. Sometimes I clean the house. In this case, I made a sweater. So this is right on up there with my favorite sweaters. I love this. I have a plan in my head. The next time that I can buy yarn, I'm gonna make this again, but I want it in a nude ballerina pink. I think my heart would love it. So that's the whole thing. There's the turnaround. It's comfortable, it feels good. I'm super happy with how everything turned out. Okay, so next up we have the Ranunculus by Midori Heroes. Knit Cafe Midori, I apologize for mispronouncing that. This is the third time that I've knit the Ranunculus and I'm still making mistakes on it. So I'm gonna get the mistakes out of the way so then we can go on. I missed a row of increases around the neck, which is why this part here is so squished and messed up and the neck is like, look at that. Like it's ridiculous. It's just a hot mess. And then I screwed up the lace. These eyelets are supposed to be under here. Yeah, it's just all messed up. Like I started out great over here and then something got messed up. I don't know what happened. And I don't know that I care. And then when I got to this, when I was doing the yoke, I knit the yoke a little bit longer just to make sure that the sleeve hit me in a place where I wanted to on my arm. Here's my shoulder, here's my elbow. I want the sleeve to hit in the middle of my upper arm. That's my preference for where I like my short sleeves to hit. I don't like cap sleeves because I feel like they don't flatter my arms. Okay, there, you know. I want to feel comfortable in my clothes and feel like I look great, and so this sleeve length, I really like it. And then I just knit until literally ran out of yarn. This is lace weight linen yarn held double, and I knit until I only had 2 grams left and like completely ran out of one ball and then just finished binding off with the second. And I just left it raw, no hem, like no ribbing. And it hits at my belly button, which is kind of where I like my sweaters to hit, but there's something about this that just, I don't love it. Like I think it's just okay, which bums me out because this is the 3rd time that I've knit this. And I got rid of the other 2 and I'm probably gonna frog this one. You know, it has the mess ups. Like I wouldn't even feel okay donating this how it is because the mistakes in it are not okay. This just doesn't feel like me. I don't know if that makes sense. Like when I look at it, I think it's okay. Like, and I could live with it, but I don't want to just live with it. I want to love the things that I've made. So I think I'm going to frog all this and then just knit a linen t-shirt. I don't think I'll do this pattern again because after the 3rd time, I still don't care for it on my body, on myself, for my style, and so I think it's just time to try something else. I don't know. I mean, the good news about missing a set of increases around the neck is that I didn't have as many increases around the body. So actually, like the width of this around the body, like it's still clearly very wide, but it doesn't have that weird. So what I don't like about boxy garments is that they can flare out like this in the back and just look really weird and awkward. I have spent my entire life trying on clothes manufactured by companies that fit a standard body size. And now that I can make a garment of my own, why would I still follow something that I don't feel like fits my body? When I'm knitting something, I want it to fit my body how I like it. So if I don't like how boxy things fit, then, you know, I'm in control of that. So the good news is this does actually have quite a bit of drape to it, so I think that helps. I do like that it sits, like when I turn to the side, I'm okay with it. It's okay. But there's something about, I just don't like it. I don't like it. I do kind of like the fabric, although I don't feel like this is really practical, because at this point, this is clearly just an accessory. Like, it's see-through, so it's not actually covering me, and it's not keeping me warm. And I don't know. Back to the drawing board, eh? Oh, it's recording. Welcome back. Excuse me while I just stare at the camera trying to find if it's playing or not. Okay, so that's all my FOs. And we're gonna move into whips. So let's start with, we'll kind of go in the same order-ish as last time. I'm still working on my husband's Montrealer hoodie, and I am now working on sleeve 2. I finished sleeve 1. You can see all of my stitch markers to mark my decreases. I decided to do the contrasting color in the cuff, and then when I do the hood, I think I want the contrasting color around the face, as long as like it kind of ties it in, even though the bottom is just in the main color. But I was worried that I was going to run out of the main color, and I have a lot of this contrasting color left still to use. So that's why I made that decision. This is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK. This is in the color, I believe it's Cedar and Oxblood, and it's very soft. I don't know how it's going to wash up. I hope it washes up really nicely. I'm using, because it's a DK, although I would say a heavy fingering, I am using a size 5, US 5 needle to knit it, and then a US 3 for the ribbing. Although I don't think I did 3s on around the tummy. So there's that. In my favorite bag that I've ever had in my entire life is, this is not gonna be tragic, it's gonna be okay. But the yarn is stuck in the zipper. Has that ever happened to you? Where your yarn gets stuck? I mean, I don't even know what in the world is going on here. But it's like, I don't even know how this happened. Can you see that? If I get my big head out of the way? I don't even know if you can see that, but it's completely wrapped around the zipper. Okay, well, I'll have to fix that, obviously. I have made some progress on my half wrap. It'd be easier to show it to you if it wasn't stuck on that thing. But this is as much I've made a decent amount of progress on my half wrap cow with Caddy Jack's Knits, which is like one of my top favorite #1 knitting podcasts. I love watching them. I love everything they do. The reason why this isn't finished, and the only reason that I've kept it put away, this is the only knit project I took with us on our little family getaway that we took down to Florida and then kind of up to the East Coast. This is the only thing I took with me, which is why I have made the progress that I have. But I keep reminding myself of what Jackie said, is that you have a whole year to do this and there's no reason to rush it or to expedite it. And I so love working on this, and I'm so in love with what I'm making with it. It's like when you read a book that you're absolutely falling in love with and you don't want it to end. That's kind of how I feel on this. I'm like, okay, I'll knit a couple rows, but then I have to stop, because when I'm done, then I'm done. But I do already have some plans to make more. This is what's left over. This is like 75, 76 grams of red poppy that I have left over. And so what I could do is I could buy one more skein of red poppy and then 2 skeins of a different color and make another smaller one, but I think I want to make a large one. I don't know. I haven't decided. And plus, I know that this is the ball of pink pop I'm currently working from, but I know in my second skein I'm going to have like 75 left over, so there's at least 2 more wraps I can make. I also thought about combining the colors and marling them to make like a hat or something, but to be honest, I probably would wear a wrap. I would wear this wrap way more than I would wear that hat. So I'm going to fix that yarn situation. Don't you worry. I love things like, I shouldn't say I love them. Those kinds of things don't bother me. I typically could figure them out. So bring on the challenge. Also, just on the needles, this is kind of like my playroom knitting right now. And I don't think I have the ball band. The ball band's downstairs, but this is also bought at the Stitch and Din in Estes Park and back a few years ago. And this is 100% wool. And I would say, I don't know, like a sport weight. Between sport and DK, it's somewhere in between there. But this is going to be a hat for my son. So I call this my playroom knitting because it's really small and I can work on it while I'm watching the kids. Our youngest is 1, and so she is walking and onto all the things, doing all the things that toddlers do, and so she can't be in the playroom without me watching her at all time. Like, even if I step out and then step right back in, anything can happen in a second. And so it always seems, and tell me if I'm wrong, but as a parent, or any time that you're in charge of washing something, the second you have to go to the bathroom, or the second you need to go check on something and you come right back, that's when something happens. I could sit in the playroom for hours with them, play with them, take a break, do a little bit of knitting, and nothing would ever happen. The second something needs to get done and I have to leave the room, something or someone is hurt. I don't know. So I'm also working on that. And that's kind of all that I'm actively working on. I did bring my Soldotna out of hiding from in my cabinet, because here it is. If you didn't see the last episode, this would be easier for me to hold it this way. This is my Soldotna that I'm working up. This is designed by Caitlin Hunter. It's knit in Yarn Bee 44th Street. So it has a little bit of a fuzz to it. It is very, very soft and very light. But since it's going to be more for Christmas, and I have to get my husband's sweater done because his birthday is November 19th and I want that done by his birthday. And then I'm getting ready for a test knit, and I need, oh, I didn't know that was so dangerously close to the edge. I need these size 4 needles for that test knit. So I realized I can just put stoppers on it and it would be okay. But I took this out of hiding and put it in my knit basket so that I would remember, oh, I need those. And so my upcoming test knit, which I have not started, but I can at least show you the yarn that I have in this bag. This is a bag that I made. When did I make this bag? I made it several years ago from a tutorial online by With Wendy. She still has stuff on there. So I picked the green and white fabric because when I was growing up as a kid, we had a towel that was striped exactly like this, and it's always my favorite towel. And then I just have some cute, bright, colorful fabric in there. There's a pocket in the front with a cute button, purely for decoration. That button is not practical. And then I have some pockets that I sewed on the inside. But what I have in here, the test knit that I'm getting ready to start calls for a DK weight. Well, I already have these yarns already, and it's Yarn Bee 44th Street. So this is the same line of yarn that I'm using in my Soldotna, but just in different colors. So this is camel, and this is silver gray. So I thought, well, they market these as DK, so I could do it in camel or I could do it in silver gray. But after working with this on my Soldotna, I firmly believe that this is closer to like a fuzzy fingering. And actually what I think I want to do is I think I want to marl them together. Hopefully I don't. I just think marling them, this is me lazily swatching, but I think marled together, I would really like it. I don't want to just make things and be like, oh, that's nice. I want it to be like, yes, yes, I love it. That's what I want my making to be. Like, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. So that's what's up for my test knit. And I did realize I've already put out the appendix episodes with my books and my yarn, but I realized that there were some things downstairs that didn't get in the video. So I'm going to squeeze those in really quick. So for the books downstairs, I was going through Slow Knitting by Hannah Thiessen. This is beautiful. And oh, yes. And I like the stories that she tells in there. Eventually, I think my goal is going to be to at least go through all my knitting books that have patterns in them and knit at least one pattern in each of my books. But this is just such a beautiful book. I like the moodiness of this. So that'll go back downstairs with me. And then also another book that I have that's not knitting related, but it is making related, is School of Sewing by Shay Henderson. And fun fact, she's my cousin. So she came out with this a while ago, and I was going through some of her old Instagram posts, and she said that this was at Pearl Soho, and I thought, well, that's so fun. And I thought, I really need to buy that. So I did, and it has 12 beginner projects. So I don't know if I'm going to set myself making a goal of making one thing each month, or what I do know, having looked through this, is that she has projects in here. If I can find it, there are projects, there are like bags in here. I cannot find them at this moment. When you're trying to find something, you're like, oh, I know it's in here. And then you're like, okay, never mind. Okay, and I also really like that she has an apron in here, because last night when I was working on this hat in the playroom, I thought, I don't know that I would want the bag that goes over my arm, even though my arm would naturally be in that position anyway. But as a mom, I think having an apron that I can shove different things in there throughout the day would make things really easy. So maybe I'll make an apron. I don't know. Those are things that are playing in my head. Okay. Then yarn really quickly, and then I think that'll be it. So in this bag, this Old Navy Love bag, is yarn that I have left over from other projects, or yarn that I've had for a while that I just don't know what I'm going to use it for, and so I'm going to use it to knit gifts. So here's the bag from the stitching bin in Estes Park, Colorado. So here you can see this is leftover from the blue hats. It's beautiful yarn, and this cotton is super soft. So I have 2 more skeins, a creamy white and then a dusty blue that I can still have. And then this was hand-me-down yarn from my aunt, and it just so happens to be babyish yarn. So I just throw it in there. So this is where I keep kind of like the baby knits, I guess. I don't know what else I would call them. I did also, if you watched where I talked about my yarn stash video, in there you saw me like discover that a ball of yarn had fallen back behind one of the drawers. I did get it out. It's a bit of a mess, but oh well. This is Knit Picks Snuggle Puff yarn. I had originally knit the Weekender in this, and since then I've gotten rid of that sweater just because I wanted to. That's why. But I love this color, and I think this would be good for because this is super soft. This would be a great cowl. So I think I'm gonna make a cowl out of that. And then I have some more leftover yarn from when I made my ghost horses. So when I did knit the ghost horses by Caitlin Hunter, I used Lion Brand's Ferris wheel, and I don't know if they still make this or not. If they do, please correct me. But this was what my first one was made out of, and this is pink marmalade, and I liked it because of the pink and that kind of mustardy brown color I really liked in it. And then I wanted to do a blue one because we live in Kentucky, so I thought maybe do a blue one. I still have the ghost horses that I made with this yarn, but my Kentucky one, I got rid of it because I didn't like the way it fit, and I didn't think it was worth frogging it and starting over. So I hope that somewhere somebody has the sweater and they enjoy it. I don't know, but now I have these yarns. So I'm thinking a hat or a cowl, and like I said, most of this will be gift knitting or even just like experimenting and just playing. Like, you know what kids do? They play and they have fun. I think maybe as adults we could do more of that. Then I do have some sugar and cream to make a washcloth, which I was supposed to make a long time ago, but I didn't. Here's some Lion Brand wool ease. I thought this could make a nice hat or cowl, you know, like gift knits. Gift knits, in my opinion, depending on the person, but most gift knits tend to be something kind of small, like washcloths, hats, cowls, mittens. You know what I mean? And I'm not a sock knitter. Fun fact, never have I ever knit a sock. And I don't think I probably ever will. However, never say never. And then this is my leftovers from my Grace pullover. So again, this is super, super soft, and I think it would make a really cozy hat or cowl. Imagine that. So anyway, those are my leftovers that I have hanging out in my gift knit / play and experiment bag. So what will it turn into? I don't know. But I have it, and so I want to use it. And the great thing about a gift knit is that, sorry, I'm gonna crinkle. The great thing about a gift knit is that it doesn't have to reflect my personal style or my taste because it's a gift knit. It can be anything that I want it to be. So I think looking around me, I cannot forget to take this back downstairs. Looking around, I think that's everything. So I did want to mention that I ordered another pair of earrings from Yasmin from India Untangled. I saw that she had, and I think maybe she had even posted this on Instagram, where she had these earrings. Of course, it's a hoop earring, but instead of the crochet going around the hoop, it was a square. And I was like, ooh. And she said, like, it's hip to be square. And I'm kind of a prude, so I was like, I like that. But I wanted it in her Pride colorway that she has. I don't know who makes the yarn, and I apologize. I should have looked that up, but I don't know who makes the rainbow yarn that she uses. But she uses some of her design. She has a rainbow yarn for Pride. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. So that was my treat myself for this month. I think the only yarn that I purchased this month would have been the yarn for my Grace pullover. And that was it. And then when we were on vacation, I hopped onto India Untangled really quick to check out Yasmin's stuff, and I went ahead and ordered a pair of earrings to support her. And that's all that I bought. And I'm feeling okay with that. So I don't know whether to count those earrings. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I've mentioned it in other videos that I have like an accountability. This is my accountability sheet, like kind of my ideas of like how many projects to make and then what my reward would be. And once I cash in, so if I make 5 projects and then I go to the craft store and buy some like cheap yarn, then I start back over from the beginning. Like I can't buy anything else until I make 5 more projects. So the only way that I can feel, I shouldn't say that. My intention is that I can buy more expensive things only if I have knit up a certain amount of objects or used up a certain amount of yarn. And it's been, the past couple of days have been really hard not to like click, like, because I've done so well this month. It's been really hard, especially when I look at my half wrap and know like the price breakdown per yard of linen quill, and that it's actually a very, very good deal for what it is, and that I love it so much. I've been so close to purchasing more of linen quill, and then right at the very last second I say, no, you can't do that, you can't do it, it's not right, this isn't right, you can't do that, you can't do that. So I'm trying to kind of just hold myself accountable, and so far it's working, knock on wood. So hopefully we can keep that up. But that's it, that's everything that I have. Halloween is this weekend. The US election is coming up. I hope everybody, if you can, you are absolutely able to vote. This is very important. It's part of our government. It's part of how we can actively participate. And in our country, it's very important who represents our country and who is kind of like the picture of us. Like they're a representative, like what they do and how they handle their self represents us. However, I also think it's incredibly important to remember that how we handle ourselves and how we raise our children and how we act and behave in front of our children will far outweigh what's happening in the future. Like, I know as a grown-up, when I watched the first presidential debate and she ended with that question from the 8th grader, I started bawling. Because as a teacher and as a mom and as a former kid, it hit me in so many ways. Kids are watching, kids are listening, they're taking all of this in, and how we act, they are watching, like, what are we doing to solve our problems? As a kid, I've talked to my husband about this before. As a kid, I thought adults knew everything. They had everything figured out. And now that I am an adult, I realize adults don't know anything. We don't know what we're doing at all. So anyway, go out and vote. Love your kids. Be good examples. Keep knitting, keep making. If you have anything you want to talk about, let's talk about it down in the comments. I'd love to chat with you. I think that's everything. I'm rambling now. So I'm going to go hang out with my kids and drink some coffee, and I'll catch you next time.